Commander Rex Talmar stood motionless in the station director's office, his armored tail twitching in restrained irritation. Across from him, Director Ulan tapped a glowing data pad with increasing unease. "That is the 9th caretaker in 6 weeks," Ulan said. "The last one resigned mid-shift and requested trauma counseling." "They are cubs," Rex growled. "Strong cubs." "Your cubs attempted to establish dominance by dragging a Vorgathy Marine under a table," Ulan replied flatly. "The Marine weighs 400 kilograms. Rex's mate, Hunt Mother Selka, crossed her arms. He squealed. "That is not our fault." Ulan inhaled slowly. "Commander, the station cannot function like this. If we fail to resolve the situation, Command will mandate off-station placement." Selka's jaw tightened. "The war creches." Silence followed. Those facilities forged warriors through isolation, competition, and pain. Rex himself had survived one. His cubs were barely 4 cycles old. "There is one alternative," Ulan said carefully. Rex lifted his head. "Speak." "A human." Selka barked a laugh. "A prey species caretaker?" "Humans are not prey," Ulan said. "They are persistent. This one has handled predator juveniles from 7 species. She specifically requested a high-aggression placement." Rex stared at the data pad as the human's profile appeared. Name, Lena Carter. Species, human. Notes, does not retreat. Responds to dominance challenges. "She arrives in 1 hour," Ulan added. "If she fails, the creches will take your cubs." Selka's jaw tightened. "She will not last 10 minutes. Rex watched the doorway on the feed, where their cubs paced like caged storms. "Then," he said quietly, "we will learn how humans scream."
Lena Carter arrived exactly on time. She wore simple clothes, sturdy boots, and carried 1 bag. No armor, no visible weapons, no hesitation. The door to the Talmar quarters vibrated as something slammed into it from the inside. Roaring followed. Selka folded her arms. "That is the sound of your career ending." Lena tilted her head slightly, listening. "3 cubs," she said. 1 dominant, 1 opportunist, 1 observer. Rex frowned. "You can tell that from the sound?" "Yes." The door slid open. 3 Varkai cubs exploded into the room, claws scraping, fangs bared. They were small compared to adults, but fast, aggressive, and fearless. They roared. Lena didn't flinch. She stood still, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady. The cubs hesitated, confused by the lack of retreat. Then the largest lunged. Lena stepped forward. She roared back. Not screaming, not shrill, a deep, controlled sound driven from her chest, sharp enough to cut through the room. The cub froze mid-charge. The others skidded to a stop. Rex felt his crest rise. "That is not a human sound," Selka whispered. Lena straightened. "Good. Now that we've established volume," she said calmly, "let's talk rules." The cubs stared. The human hadn't backed away. She had advanced. The cubs recovered quickly. The eldest, Kar, circled Lena, claws clicking softly. The second, Veshka, watched from the side. The smallest, Rune, remained still, eyes tracking everything. "You are small," Kar said through his translator. "You are weak." Lena crouched to his eye level. "I'm smaller, not weaker." He snapped at her hand. She caught his wrist, not painfully, just firmly. Kar froze, shocked. "You don't bite people you want to respect you," Lena said evenly. "Try again." She released him. The cub hesitated, then lowered his head slightly. Selka inhaled sharply. He yielded. Veshka tried a different tactic, knocking over a table with a deliberate crash. Lena didn't react. "Pick it up," she said. "No." "Okay," Lena replied, sitting down. "Then we wait." Minutes passed. Nothing happened. The mess stayed. The cubs shifted uncomfortably. "Strength without control is just noise," Lena added. "When you're ready to clean it, I'll help." Veshka growled, but cleaned it. Rune approached last. "You are not afraid," he said quietly. "No," Lena answered. "I just know what I'm dealing with." "And what is that?" "Kids," she said. "Dangerous ones, but still kids." Rune's tail flicked thoughtfully. Something fundamental shifted in the room. Dinner was not meant to be a battle, which was precisely why Kar chose it. The food trays slid out from the wall dispenser with a soft hum, releasing the scent of fresh protein and nutrient paste. The cubs gathered instinctively, predator reflex overriding strategy, until Carr paused. He looked at Lena. Slowly, deliberately, he lifted his tray. Then he tipped it over. The meal splattered across the polished floor in a wet, offensive mess. Selka stiffened on the observation feed. There, that is the challenge. Rex said nothing. Lena looked down at the spill. She did not raise her voice. She did not react with anger. She simply said, "Clean it." Carr bared his teeth. "No." Lena nodded once, as if acknowledging a weather report. "Okay." She sat down. The cubs froze. Minutes passed. The food cooled. The smell thickened. No alarms, no punishment, no threats. Veshka shifted uneasily. Rune's eyes never left the human. "You will report me to my parents," Carr said, finally, testing. "Yes," Lena replied calmly. His confidence wavered. "Then I will be punished." "Maybe," she said. "That depends on what happens next." Carr snarled. "You are trying to submit me." "No," Lena said. "I'm giving you a choice." She gestured to the mess. "You can clean it now and eat, or you can leave it, stay hungry, and explain why later." The cub hesitated. Hunger gnawed, pride resisted. "You think you have won," he said. Lena met his gaze. "This isn't winning. This is responsibility." Silence stretched. Finally, Carr crouched and began scraping the food back into the tray with stiff, angry motions. Lena stood and knelt beside him, not helping yet, watching. "Next time," she said softly, "if you want to test me, do it with words. Messes don't scare me." When the floor was clean, she handed him a fresh tray. He took it. A moment passed. Then he ate. Rex exhaled slowly. She did not dominate him. Selka's voice was quiet. She made him choose. In the crutches, strength decided everything. Here, the human had introduced something far more dangerous: consequences. The cubs waited 3 cycles before trying again. This time, they planned. Lena was arranging learning modules when the power dropped. Lights dimmed, climate control paused, emergency red strips flickered to life along the walls. Standard test of fear. Veshka laughed, a sharp, pleased sound, as she scaled the shelving unit. Rune blocked the exit. Carr stood still, watching. Predator instincts demanded chaos. Lena exhaled. "Sit," she said. None of them moved. Veshka leapt from the shelf, landing inches from Lena's face, claws spread wide. "Dark makes prey panic," Veshka hissed. Lena turned off her wrist light. The room went fully dark. The cubs froze. "You turned it off," Rune said, confused. "Yes," Lena replied. "If you're testing fear, let's remove the advantage." Her voice did not change. In the darkness, something shifted, not physical, but social. "You crossed a line," Lena continued. "Tampering with station systems is dangerous." Carr bristled. "You cannot punish us." Lena nodded. "Correct." She tapped her wrist. Emergency lights surged back on. Security feeds activated. "And now," she said calmly, "your parents will." The cubs stiffened. Rune stepped forward. "You said consequences depended on choice." "They do," Lena replied. "You chose sabotage." She gestured to the room. "Sit. Hands visible. Silence." They obeyed. Minutes later, Commander Reeks and Huntress Selka entered, alerted and furious. "What happened?" Reeks demanded. Lena stepped aside. "They shut down environmental controls. No injuries, no damage, but intent was clear." The cubs lowered their heads. Selka stared at them, then at Lena. "You didn't restrain them." "No," Lena said. "I let them prove who they are." Silence followed. Then Reeks spoke, slowly. "They will lose combat privileges for a cycle." The cubs gasped. Lena met their eyes. "Next time, we talk first." They nodded. Fear had failed. Authority had failed. But accountability stuck. Word spread fast. Varnock cubs were quiet. Not subdued, not fearful. Quiet. Other species noticed first. Caretakers paused outside the enclosure longer than necessary. Security staff lingered near monitors. "Has she sedated them?" one whispered. "No," another replied. "They're listening." Inside, Lena sat cross-legged on the floor. Carr spoke. "Why do humans use stories?" "To understand danger without dying," Lena said. Veshka tilted her head. "You tell us about failure." "Yes." Rune frowned. Varnock stories end with victory. Human ones don't, Lena replied. They end with survival. A station delegate entered the observation room. This is unprecedented. Rex watched silently. The cubs practiced restraint drills, not combat, but pause and think exercises Lena introduced. When Veshka snapped too quickly, Lena didn't punish her. She asked, "Why did you react?" Veshka hesitated, then answered. Selka's claws curled. She is changing them. No, Rex said, she is expanding them. Later, during open recreation, a visiting juvenile from another species shoved Rune. The cub tensed. Everyone braced for violence. Rune stepped back. "I don't want consequences," he said. The station froze. Lena smiled slightly. The incident reports spread through 3 sectors by nightfall. Varnock cub chooses restraint. The council convened emergency discussions. Humans were reclassified, not as prey, not as predators, as something else entirely. The cubs returned to Lena that night. Carr spoke quietly. "Others fear us less." "Yes," Lena said. "That feels strange." She met his gaze. Power often does. The emergency siren was real. Hull breach, Sector C. The station jolted. Alarms blared, lights strobed white. Automatic lockdown sealed the nursery. Rex moved instantly. "Get the cubs out." Lena checked the doors. Locked. "We wait," she said calmly. The cubs panicked. "This is not a test," Veshka cried. "I know," Lena said calmly. "That's why it matters." Explosions echoed distant through the hull. Carr bared his teeth. "Tell us what to do." Lena stood. "Breathe, then follow instructions." She assigned positions. Rune stabilized debris. Veshka assisted smaller juveniles. Carr reinforced the emergency seal with his own body. They obeyed without question. Minutes stretched like hours. Finally, silence. Pressure stabilized. Rescue crews arrived to find the cubs organized, calm, and protecting others. Rex stared. "They followed her," Selka whispered, "without fear." Lena checked each cub for injuries. "You did well," she said. Carr swallowed. "We listened." "Yes," she replied, "and you led." The incident became legend before repairs finished. Varnock cubs saved civilians, guided by a human. The reassignment request came from the High Council itself. Permanent placement. Rex stood before Lena. "You changed them." Lena shook her head. "No, I gave them tools." The cubs watched quietly. "You are not prey," Selka said. "You are not predator." Lena smiled. "I'm babysitter." Carr stepped forward. "Will others learn this?" "Yes," Lena said, "if they want to." The cubs straightened. Across the galaxy, a new rule spread quietly through council halls. If you want your young to survive the future, find a human. And somewhere in the station, a nursery echoed not with roars, but with understanding.